There are not many strategies that I would say are almost a must for real estate agents. This is one of those topics. When somebody's already in our sphere of influence because we've known them for a long time, or somebody that we know knows them, we have instant credibility. So I've seen a lot of real estate agents make the mistake of treating the people that they know like prospects instead of people that they know. If you go into their living room on a seller appointment, you should walk out of there with either a listing agreement or a purchase and sale agreement to flip their house. All right, everybody, welcome back to Agent Investor. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. Agent Investor is the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster and helps agents achieve financial freedom by blending being an agent and being an investor, helping agents focus more on working with sellers, generating fix and flip opportunities, and investing those big chunks of income into passive assets that are going to pay them forever. If you're a real estate agent whose income is always going up and down and up and down, or if you've ever thought about, geez, like I'm not saving for retirement, or I haven't closed a deal in the last couple months, I might have to go out and get a job. This podcast is for you. We teach the agent investor model, which has 3 steps. Step number 1 is to continue being an agent, but focus a little bit more of your time, effort, and energy on sellers. Step number 2, offer cash offers to all of the sellers that you meet with. 20% of all sellers will take your offer. You want to fix and flip that property either by partnering with us or doing the fix and flip on your own. And then take that big chunk of income that you're going to get. The average fix and flip market profit in my market is $80,000. Take that big chunk of income that you get that you really weren't even anticipating getting and invest that money into a long-term passive asset that will pay you forever. The goal anytime that I talk to an agent and work with them in any capacity, even if it's just if you're listening to my podcast, I want as many of my podcast listeners that are real estate agents to be earning $10 or $15 or $20,000 or more per month of passive income. When you do that, you're financially free. You no longer have to worry about, well, is the listing agent going to offer 2% or 1% or no percent? You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to have a good year or whether interest rates are going to go down. When you've got guaranteed monthly income coming in every single month, you have freedom. And that's what this podcast is all about. Today, I'm going to be talking and continuing my seller appointment and deal finding strategy segment. I've done a few of these already. If you've not listened to these in the past, take a look at the last couple of episodes. Every episode, I'm covering a different strategy to obtain seller appointments and deals for fix and flips. Now, if you haven't listened to any of the past episodes I've mentioned in all of them, you really want to pick 1, maybe 2 strategies and get really, really good at them. Set weekly metrics, measure those metrics, set a goal for how many seller appointments you want in a week or in a month, and check it every single month. Verify that you're on track and try to hit that goal every single week. Okay. I've already talked about how to generate seller leads by using paid marketing. I've talked about how to generate seller leads by using social media. I've talked about generating seller appointments by using home valuation ads. Those are all in past episodes. Today, I'm going to focus on using your sphere of influence. Now, there are not many strategies that I would say are almost a must for real estate agents. This is one of those topics. Using your sphere of influence to generate seller appointments, to generate fix and flip opportunities, it's really a no-brainer. And the reason why is if you need to generate a seller appointment every single week, are you going to likely be more successful generating an appointment and getting a seller to sign with you if you know the person or if you don't know the person. I think it's an obvious question, right? When we generate leads from people or we try to generate opportunities for people we don't know yet, we've got to do two things at the same time. The first thing we need to do is earn their trust. And the second thing that we need to do is to provide them with a solution. Now, when somebody's already in our sphere of influence because we've known them for a long time, or somebody that we know knows them, we have instant credibility. And that instant credibility is going to prevent them from shopping a million different agents in a lot of cases. It's going to make you a trusted expert, and it just makes your life a whole lot easier. So, if a new real estate agent is coming to my brokerage and asking me, hey, what's the most efficient and effective way for me to get business, for me to get seller appointments, for me to get fix and flip opportunities, I would always start with your sphere. The only real negative to our sphere of influence is that it's limited, right? If we took down and we wrote down on a piece of paper all the people that would recognize our name that we've met in our life, we might have 100, 200, 300, 500, maybe max 1,000 people. 1,000's a lot that would recognize our name. But it's limited. But having said that, each of those people that would recognize our name, assuming that, we've been a good person in our life and, people respect us and, like us and all that good stuff, which is usually common amongst the people that it's going to be a lot easier to get business from those people. So that's why we start there. Now, I already mentioned, the agent investor model, partnering with us. I do want to let people know if you do want to learn more about partnering with myself, my team on these seller appointments, on these fix and flip opportunities that you come across, make sure that you jump on my next call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Again, that's www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. All right, so let's get into it. First thing I want to think about when we're talking about work in your sphere of influence is these are people that you know. So I've seen a lot of real estate agents make the mistake of treating the people that they know like prospects instead of people that they know. And in general, like the worst thing in the world, in my opinion, that you can do is to go down the list of people that you already know and just start spamming them and just start doing things that don't really make a lot of sense, ways to kind of like irritate people. And again, I'm not saying don't reach out to people, but don't just go through and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Like, let me know how I can help you over and over again. You don't want to annoy people. At the same time, you have to develop a schedule and a routine to let people know in a non-annoying way that you can help them and how you can help them. And I'm going to talk about how to do that today. But it does start with you kind of making a schedule of what that looks like. So when we talk about like reaching out to the people that you know, there's really only so many ways that we can do it, right? We could send a text message. We could send a social media message. We could post on social media. We could email them. We could mail them. We could call them. We could do an event, right? Everything I just mentioned are like, those are the ways that in 2025, where I'm recording this, how we kind of interact with people. So it's all about having that interaction and having it on a somewhat routine basis so that they know what you do, how you could potentially help them, and doing it in a way that's not super annoying. All right. So with that being said, when I talk about a schedule, when we go through those different methods of communication, you want to plan out the year. Like, how many times do I want to send a text message or invite somebody to an event or send them a Facebook message or me post on Facebook, etc. And then work that plan. Okay. Second thing that you need to do is come up with how you're going to help people, like what your call to action is. So I'm going to tell you my opinion. You don't have to take it. You don't have to listen to it. Of course, you're listening to my podcast, so you value my opinion to some extent. But what I'm about to say is how I've approached it, how I would recommend approaching it. And of course, if you take my advice, you're going to get some of the same results that I get. So my opinion is that you are always better off coming from the angle of I want to buy houses to generate seller appointments than necessarily talking about like listing a property. The reason for that is that regardless of how you're putting out your communication, again, whether you're texting or mailing or emailing or whatever, there are a whole bunch of people that are going to be interested in learning what an offer for their home is. That's a very strong call to action. And in fact, even if you know somebody that knows 5 other agents, when you're able to offer a cash offer without them necessarily having to pay a commission, that's a pretty attractive value prop. It's a pretty attractive hook. And it's a great way to get yourself in the door. Now, when I say this, like my main objective, if I can, is always to buy those properties. Like if it makes sense for the seller to sell their property to me, if they like my cash offer, yeah, I want to flip their house because, I talked about the profits that we make earlier. And I think for a lot of sellers, 20% of all sellers, there's going to be a lot of things about the cash offer that they're attracted to. There are a lot of benefits of them taking a cash offer. Now, there are negatives of them taking a cash offer. The most common negative is that typically they might get a little bit less money than they would necessarily if they're going to sell to a more traditional retail buyer. Okay. But having said that, regardless of how you're going to like reach out to people or how you're going to put yourself out there, you need some type of hook. In my opinion, is the cash offer hook, if you want to call it a hook, is the best one out there. It's going to generate the most appointments. When we are talking about getting listings and getting flip opportunities, what do we need? We need seller appointments. We need the most amount of seller appointments that we can get. So we need the marketing message that's going to resonate with the most amount of people, that it's going to get us in the most amount of doors. And to me, that's the cash offer. Okay, that's my opinion. You can use whatever offer you want. You guys are creative. You might already have something that's working for you. But then the second component is like, okay, what are the different ways that we're going to reach out to people, and how are we going to stay in front of them, talking about working that scheduled plan, whatever that scheduled plan is. All right, so if I'm working my sphere of influence, first thing I'm going to do is social media. I already covered social media a lot in a separate episode, so I'm going to spend only, 5 minutes on it here. If you want to learn more about how I would recommend doing social media, go back to the past episode. But first and foremost, social media to me, the number one is that you're going to use Facebook. It is the number one platform, the most users, and guess what? The most amount of sellers. Okay. The demographic of the people that are on Facebook are people that own homes, right? Like they're the age group of people that own homes. So Facebook is the number one. First thing I would look at is, do I have a really good Facebook profile, and have I connected with all the people that I know? Meaning, have I even made sure that I'm actually friends with everybody on Facebook that I'm actually friends with? Let's start there. Okay. Second thing is you need to be posting multiple times per week. If you look at my Facebook profile, Tommy Caffarella, Tommy Caffarella, you will see that I post nearly every day. Sometimes I post twice a day. I know for some people that might not be a comfortable thing. It is what it is. You've got to get over it. Like no one really cares that much about what you're posting anyways. Figure out what's resonating with your audience. Turn your Facebook profile into professional mode so that you can see the stats of who's looking at what. Make sure that you're posting that you're looking for deals, that you're looking for homes to flip, that you've got a cash offer that you're willing to make. Okay. Make sure that you're using Facebook not only as a tool for you to post, but for you to comment and connect and message with people that are in your sphere. Get reconnected with those people, comment on their posts, send them messages, etc. Now, Facebook will only allow you to send, so many messages in a day. It has an algorithm that kind of figures that out. But if I've got 1,000 friends or 2,000 friends or however many I've got, I kind of want all of them to know that I have the ability to make a cash offer. I'm probably sending them a Facebook message like once every quarter, or maybe even less. Just letting them know, hey, we haven't connected in a while. Just to let you know, this is what I do. I buy homes to flip, and I'm looking for more properties. If you ever come across, a home that needs work, please let me know. If you know anybody, this is kind of what I do. And if you can make it a lot prettier than that, but if we're talking about the routine, the schedule, right? I'm going to make sure I send a message out to all of my Facebook friends. And if you're on this podcast and you're connected to me on my Facebook account, on my Tommy Caffarella account, you've probably gotten a message from me and you may have already communicated with me, right? So I practice what I preach. I am not, I don't have 5 billion followers. I'm not famous, right? So everything I'm doing will work for you as well. Okay. So there's Facebook, right? And you want to do that and set a routine, create content, post, add friends to people, add the friends that you are actually friends with. All right. Second thing is mailers. I love mailers, especially for SOI, because you're going to get somebody's attention, period. It's one of the best ways to get somebody's attention, and especially for your sphere of influence, it won't cost a ton of money. Okay. You want to be creative with this. Like what are the types of things that you want to be sending people? The more generic something is that you're mailing, the worse it is, right? So you want to make it personalized. You want to put some creative thought into it. Like if you fixed and flipped a home, show some photos. People love before and after. They love the befores. They love the afters. Show them what you're doing. Let them know how they can communicate with you. Again, that doesn't have to be like an all the time thing. Talking about the schedule, right? That might just be like a once a quarter thing. If you send somebody a mailer and it looks like regular mail, there's a very high probability that they're going to open it, right? And there's, a high probability that if you send them something that's kind of cool, that they're not going to get super annoyed with you, right? And again, you don't have to do this a lot, right? What are we trying to do with our sphere? We're trying to have these reps with them. We're trying to stay top of mind with them. Because if you ever had, and this has happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to all of you, if you've had somebody in your sphere use another agent, it is likely that they forgot that you were even an agent, right? So this happens to agents all the time, and then they get really mad. They get really mad at the person. And it's like, oh, you can't do that because they have a busy life, right? They weren't thinking about you. You've got to make sure that you're top of mind. So I really like mailers to do that. Again, like if you're an agent listening to this and you're in my market, you may very well have gotten a mailer from me, right? So again, I'm practicing what I'm preaching. All right, another way to get deals. Now, not necessarily listings. So we've talked about how to get seller appointments and, therefore how to get fix and flip opportunities as well. But another way to get just fix and flip opportunities is to network with agents. Now, if you are an agent, I promise you, you're probably talking to more agents than you even want to, right? You're co-broking on every deal. You're at open houses, like you're at office parties, you're at office networking events. The vast majority of real estate agents, although they will verbally tell you that they would love to invest, are not going to put any effort into it. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're one of the small fractional percentage of agents that actually are serious about investing. So congratulations for that. But when you're at an open house or you're co-broking with somebody or you're at an office event, let people know you want to buy houses. refer them to you. Now, what do they get out of that? They get two benefits. The first benefit that they get is that if you're smart, you will allow them to keep all of the commission on that deal. And maybe they reduce their seller commission. That could be a benefit to the seller. Or, maybe if they got a 5% listing, maybe they take 3.5% and they rebate to the seller 1.5%. So it's a win for the seller. It's a win for them. Who knows? I mean, however that commission works out, as long as the seller's good with it and they got an agreement. But your benefit is not, the commission necessarily. It's that you're going to get a deal. So keep in mind that agents come across fix and flip opportunities all the time. Most of them aren't going to know what to do with them other than to do what they normally do. So make it a point to reach out to a certain number of agents every day, and especially in passing, especially when you're just doing your normal, you're standing there in an open house talking to agents. Hey, use that as an opportunity to also talk about the fix and flip stuff that you do. All right, the next one is emails. Okay, again, a lot of you that are listening are probably on my email list. You probably kind of know what type of content I send out. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm far from perfect at it. But what I will tell you I'm really good at is I'm very good at doing it. There is not a week that goes by that I don't send between 2 and 5 emails out to my email list. I've accumulated a pretty big email list over the years because I know there's value in that. I try to send valuable information to the people on my email list. I try to, figure out like my target audience is obviously agents. So I try to send them stuff that they find interesting. And then I use a call to action. Now, don't abuse the email thing. Send out emails to your SOI in accordance with what you think would provide value and keep you top of mind. Or do something simple like a newsletter. Do something that maybe it only goes out like once a month. Again, when you're writing out this schedule, how are you going to communicate with the people in your sphere? Figure out how many times you want to stay top of mind with them throughout the year. Maybe it's 20 times, maybe it's 15 times, maybe it's 25 times. And figure out like how there's going to be a mix of all these things. By the way, don't do just one, right? There are people that you could send them an email a day and they just never look at their email. Or I've had this happen. I'm sure you've all had this happen too, where you send an email to somebody and they say, hey, I never got it. And then they check their spam and it's in their spam. So you've almost kind of got to treat the SOI stuff like you have to hit them from a bunch of different angles because you don't know which one is going to resonate with them, that they're going to like, that they're going to look at. All right. So we talked about emails. The next one is events. There are a lot of different ways that you can do events, especially to generate, seller appointments and fix and flip opportunities. The one that I like and that I do is I like to do educational events. An example that you might do for an agent, if you're going to do the educational events, is to do investor related events. Investor topics in general, if you're willing to speak, if you're willing to promote, if you're willing to find a space that doesn't cost you a bunch of money, can be a really, really big ROI. For one thing, if you're willing to talk and speak, it automatically is going to elevate your status. And I can promise you, I said a little bit earlier, that most real estate agents want to invest, but they don't. It's the same thing with the average person. Like the average person wants to invest in real estate. There is extreme demand. Trust me when I tell you, I've, run countless seminars with non-agents, and there is very high demand for people that want to learn about investing in real estate. So for you, if you're running this to your sphere of influence, do a seminar like, hey, learn how to invest in real estate. and talk about how you could potentially work together on some of these fix and flip opportunities. Tell them what to look for. Tell them maybe how to find some properties. Um, but there are other ways to do events too. Like you could keep it completely social. You could, you can use your imagination here. But again, going back to kind of the top, like SOI is it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for all agents because these are the people that already know, like, and trust you. These are the people that if you go into their living room on a seller appointment, you should walk out of there with either a listing agreement or a purchase and sale agreement to flip their house. Okay. Now, for those of you who are interested in doing this type of generation, learning how to do more deals and want to partner with us, make sure that you jump on my next call to learn how at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Every week, I cover the basics on how to find deals, how our partnership opportunities work. My goal is to partner with 100 agents in the next 50 weeks. I want to do 2 deals a week. Right now, I'm averaging 1. So my goal is to double that. I'm reaching out, screaming from the rooftops about our partner program. I can provide you with references. If you are in New England, you likely know somebody or more than one person that is already partnered with us, as we've already gone across the 100 partner deal range. Again, jump on that call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Next week, we're going to cover another seller lead generation strategy that's different from this one. Again, this is part of a series. Go back in time, go back to some of the old ones and look and get educated and then commit to what seller strategy you're going to do. And again, any more questions, guys, jump on my next call, www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. Thanks for tuning in today.